For a transcript of this episode, training plans, and more, visit marathonsfortherestofus.com. So the question for today is, how many miles per week do you need to be running for the marathon? And I know I get this question all the time, and I think it's a really common question for runners to ask, partly because we're all nervous about whether or not we're prepared for the marathon, right? And also because most runners tend to like numbers, and we like this idea of a nice 7-day week, and seeing how many miles we fit in that 7-day week can be really reassuring that we're on the right track to be ready for the marathon. Now, when I think about mileage and preparing for the marathon, I don't tend to think about miles per week, and I'll tell you why. Imagine a scenario where runner 1 is running 5 times a week and they're running 6 miles a day. So they're totaling 30 miles a week. Runner number 2 is running 3 times a week. 2 of those runs are 5 miles, and the third run is a 20-mile long run. Now, they've also run 30 miles in that week. But I would argue that runner 2 is way more prepared for the marathon because of that long run than runner 1 is, even though runner 1 is running over twice as many times. So that, I think, is a good thought experiment to see why the actual number of miles you're running per week doesn't tell you a lot about how prepared you are for the marathon. So instead of miles per week, I think you really need to think about, what do I need to do to be prepared for this race, and how am I going to accomplish it? And the first thing you need to do is you need to build endurance for the race. The marathon obviously is a very long race, and so it's very important that you have that endurance built up, and that's going to come through the long run primarily, right? But it also means that you need to be running enough during the week to support, and the word that I like to use a lot is to kind of complement the endurance that you're building during the long run. This means that you need to be running frequently enough that your body maintains those adaptations that it's making because of the long run. And ideally, we can also add a little bit of extra endurance through the mileage during the week as well. So how many times per week do you need to be running in order to do this? Well, I think at a minimum you need to be running 2 other times during the week plus your long run in order to sort of maintain and actually absorb the benefits of that long run. Now, it's going to be difficult to run a fast marathon and feel really good about it running only 3 times a week. You can finish it, and you might be able to finish it even upright and healthy, but it's going to be much more of a challenge than if you do a little bit more. You don't necessarily need to be running more than 3 times a week, but I think adding in cross training or strength training on those other days is important if you're only going to be running 3 days a week. Now, along with that frequency, including a medium long run, and depending on who you are, this could be anywhere from 6 to 10 miles, but including that frequently during the week. And by frequently during the week, I mean not necessarily doing it every week, but doing it the majority of weeks, including one run of 6 to 10 miles in there in the middle of the week, will also really help to complement the endurance that you're getting from the long run. And it'll allow you to get more of that endurance through fewer miles and fewer runs during the week. And then I think the third thing that you have to do to really be ready for the marathon is that you need to prepare your body for the pounding that it's going to take during the race. Just the sheer number of steps that you're taking in 26 miles of racing can really take its toll on your body, and so you need to be prepared for that. Now, a lot of that preparation will come from the long run and from your other runs, the mileage that you're doing. But again, if you're only going to be running maybe, say, 3 times a week, supplementing with some strength training for your quads and your calves and your hamstrings and your glutes, all those lower leg muscles, as well as your general core strength, can be really helpful in preparing your body for the race. Because after all, getting to the race prepared is a really good thing. That's like our number 1 goal. But our number 2 goal, and it should be really closely behind number 1, is getting to the finish line happy and healthy and ready to take on your next race. And that's where the strength training can help you be ready for the pounding, the rigors of the race, if you will, in a way that maybe just 3 days a week of running won't prepare you for. Ultimately, I hope that the takeaway from this video for you is that you should never feel unprepared for a marathon simply because your average weekly mileage was lower than you wanted it to be or lower than your friend or your training partner's was. It's much more important to be focused on what elements of training do you need to do to be prepared for the race and making sure that you get those in rather than trying to hit any specific number in a 7-day period. As Bill Bowerman, who is one of the greatest distance coaches that America has ever had, once said, if somebody says to you, hey, I ran 100 miles last week, how many did you run? Ignore them. The magic is in the man, not the miles. Now, he was speaking in the 60s or 70s. So the magic is in the man or the woman, not the miles. I hope that's helpful. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. And let me know if you have any suggestions for future episodes as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.